Two guys and a goalie.
Babcock's gone. The Blue Jackets had an availability. They made a major mistake. Cass, your thoughts on how this looks on that organization?
Out of all the hires, this is the one that we felt was going to make us the best. Quite clearly, it was not.
It's just a weird kind of thing to do, is to ask someone to look at their phone and the pictures on their phone. If you think by seeing a photo you're going to learn a lot about a person, then follow them on social media. I'm sure if Mike Babcock requested to follow a few members of his Columbus Blue Jackets, what he did was wrong. He hasn't changed a bit.
Two guys and a goalie with Gager, Cassian, and Nielsen. Tuesday and Thursdays at noon. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Tom Gazzola and Sean Bell take you on a hot lap around the NHL with Hello Hockey! Saturday mornings at 10, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Catch up with friends of EST, Andrew, Mike, and Kayla, as they get you in the huddle with the Edmonton Elks on the Turf District. Thursday nights at 8, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Friend of EST, Eric Thomas, takes you around the track all the way to the checkered flag on Raceline Radio. Tuesday nights at 8 and Saturday morning at 9. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Join friend of EST, Guy Flaming, for the Pipeline Show, Monday nights at 8 and Saturday at noon, as he has you covered with CHL, CJHL, USHL, NAHL, NCAA, and U Sports, plus the World Juniors, Frozen Four, and NHL Draft on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Don't feel like working? Join the Hangout. You never know what you might hear. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Join Murray McCourt and Curtis Stock for tips and tales from courses around Edmonton and area with the VIP Golf Show, presented by the Tailor Made Performance Center at the Ranch, Sundays at 8:30, only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. The Elks Call is the newest Edmonton Elks podcast located in Edmonton, discussing everything Elks. Join friends of EST, Scout and Catherine, Friday nights at 8 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome inside The Lock Shop. Dusty and Huss back with you once again, brought to you by our great partners at Coolbet. If you've not yet signed up for an account at Coolbet, what are you doing? What are you doing? Get it together. Go to coolbet.com and Lock Shop. Use the code Lock Shop when you do, and you get a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to 200 smackaroos. Huss, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for filling in yesterday, going solo. Well, I guess thanks to Patty for stepping in as well yesterday. You got me through a tough one, bud.
No problem. Well, first things first. Love from the Lock Shop to the Muzz. How's she doing? Okay. She's got the pretty styling pink cast. That'll
Pink
be
cast
one for the
is
full
good.
family album.
I FaceTimed today. between shows, and she's moving her arm around good. She's like, Daddy, it doesn't really hurt right now. I was like, all right, okay, good. So we're going to give her the week off, and then she can roll into school on Monday as like cool cast kid, right? So
Yeah.
it helps her street cred a ton. Huge street cred with the cast in grade 1. So
how did it happen? Was this a clothesline maneuver, or?
Well, you know what's crazy is that she's fallen so many times. I mean, that's what kids do. This one, she was just getting in line after recess, and some other kid was running over to their line, kind of crashed into her, knocked her down, broke her arm. Just like that. Like, she didn't fall off a monkey bar. She didn't fall off a slide. She just got knocked over. And her hand was like 30% disjointed. Like, so they had to put her out and then like clock it back in. It was weird seeing your kid put out, because like her eyes don't close. Like, she's just laying there. It looks like she's dead. It's just like, it's the scariest thing. It was nuts. So it was a whirlwind. And then she woke up and she's still all drugged up. So she was like phasing in and out of like hallucinations and stuff. It was a wild time. But then I've said already on Sports Talk earlier today here, like her brother, Marshall, like the marshmallow, like the soft. So he comes in after school. He's all rattled. He gets into the room and he looks along the bed and he sees like she's got her IV in still and all this monitoring and stuff. And he goes, so what do we have going on here? And then he just looks at her and looks at us and starts bawling. He's like, I love you, Elizabeth. I'm so worried. We're like, it's okay. It's going to be fine. So, but we got through it. She's got a few days off. Daddy's back to work and everything's good, man. So
that is great. Well, anyways, I know that she is a tough cookie, rough-housing with the Marshall and you back at the house. So, yes, minus 10,000, a full and quick recovery.
She'll be good. She'll be good. If you are watching on YouTube right now, feel free to comment. Of course, if you are listening at edmontonsportstalk.com to our live audio feed, you can text us 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. I didn't want to get to this YouTube message from Stupid Good Looking on the YouTube chat. Dusty and Huss, can you guys have like a future show where like 10 to 15 minutes to explain the betting lingo and the odds, etc.? My handle explains the extent of my betting knowledge, almost like a Bet 101 show, which could come in handy for a lot of people, I think.
You know what? We should do that, and that might be something that we just do on the side and just post it.
Yeah, just like one sort of like 15-minute thing, yeah.
Tweet. But let me just for the sake of it, and we won't go into all the futures and things, but very simple when we are talking odds. And let's just use tonight's Jays game, for example. The odds on the money line, which is just for the team to win. We'll talk about two different things. The money line, which is just straight up win the game, and then often that there is a spread. Spread's more when we're talking about football. A team is laying 6.5 points. That means they're the favorite by 6.5. There's an adjusted odds to go with that. And to win that bet, you need to win by 7.
Yeah, they take the 6.5 points off the total.
Yeah, but I mean, just simply as far as the odds go, because you'll hear me going, oh, this is minus 118. This is plus 104. To use the example for the Blue Jays game tonight, the Blue Jays are a slight home favorite, and they are at minus 118. Which means that if you wagered, what the minus means is that if you wagered $118, that bet would win you $100 on that wager. So $118 bet on the Blue Jays, if they won tonight at minus 118, would pay you back $218. On the other side of that, the Yankees are plus 104, which indicates that they're the underdog. And the plus money means you don't have to bet 104. You would bet 100. So if you bet $100 on the Yankees tonight at plus 104 and the Yankees won, you would win $104 on that 100 and it would return $204. Normally, if a game is even, you'll have minus 110 on one side, minus 110 or something very close. Sometimes Coolbet goes down a little bit, minus 108 or whatever. But usually for games where there is a point spread, it is roughly in and around there. That would be the even. The minus 110 is where the book makes their money. So if you have the equal amount of action on the one side at minus 110 and the other side, they'll take in $220 and pay out $210, whichever side wins. But again, it's just very simple. And there are a lot of other things on there. But yes, we will do something on the Lock Shop to get that a little primer heading into hockey season, as well as touching on some of those other bets. But just on futures, when we're talking about those plus numbers for something, for instance, if something is plus 2,000 on a future, that is basically a 20-1 bet.
20-1 is the easy way to describe that in those situations, right?
Yeah, that's often what the way I will call it out. But anyways, thank you very much for the input, and hopefully that helped in a quick sense. But yeah, we will get on that over the next little bit.
And there is also, I don't know if it helps you explain it or understand it a little bit better, but at CoolBet, like I'm there right now, you can choose the American odds or you can use decimal odds as well. Huss, wait, for a first-time bettor, what do you think is easier to go with?
I mean, maybe decimal, because it's basically you're just multiplying that number by your wager.
Yeah.
I find that it's a lot easier to kind of take in the degree of a team, that how big of a favorite they are, how big of an underdog they are from the American odds. But put it this way, if you grew up playing pro lines, Sports Select, or whatever the government lotteries that have been, those have always been in decimal format, albeit the odds have usually stunk and been like a complete racket. Don't get me going on
government
that.
Wins again.
Yeah. And Cowboys asking, why do I get parlay not allowed when you guys can put them together? Well, we're putting them together. The book's taking it, bidding of a bonus and putting it in there. There are some things that are correlated that the parlay doesn't work out normally. Like put it this way. If I'm going to try and do a bet builder for a Chiefs game, and I'm betting that Travis Kelce's going to have 150 yards. Well, for Travis Kelce to get 150 yards, Patrick Mahomes got to throw him that 150 yards. So if you put in Mahomes to go over 300 and Kelce to go over 150, those things are correlated where you wouldn't get a normal odd on it, because essentially they are they're connected to each other. So that's why some things you can't parlay, others that you can. Although we're working to get some more parlays available. We'll hit Patty with some of these tomorrow when he jumps on with us for
it's a really good questions actually. And the best thing is the relationship. Like I don't know many. First of all, there's not many shows like this in Canada, but I don't know any shows in Canada that have like this good a relationship with a book where we're making plays and they're available by the end of the show. You know, we're pretty fortunate to have this relationship. So,
hey, Corey at work, what does it mean when the spread is -4 and a team wins by 4? Who wins? That is called a push, where you just get your bet back. You don't lose, but you don't win. So, yeah, if you bet $50 on whatever the Eagles to win by 4, and they win 24-20. It's basically like there was no bet made. You'll get what your stake, what you risked, will be returned to you, but you won't win, you won't lose. And that's why when we were talking, I mean, a perfect example of this, we were talking about the Monday Night Football game between the Bengals and the Rams.
Yeah, the 3.
And I was thinking about the number was 3. And, you know, for some of the games, you can click on and get an adjusted point spread. So 3, I think the odds were -104. If you wanted to get the Rams plus 3.5, it was -130. So again, you're paying more for that line, but you would have won, or I would have won, if I had done the extra half point. Instead, I decided I'm just going to ride with the 3 on the Rams. It finished up as 3. So I just got what I bet returned. I didn't win. If I'd paid a little bit more and took the 3.5, I would have won that bet. And we often talk about that and our options when we're putting together the partner parlay, clicking things around.
Like right now, for example, the Thursday nighter, which we'll get to tomorrow, Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers. I can't wait for this game. Right now, Green Bay is a 1.5 point. Let me just reload. I think they're a 1.5 point underdog at home here against the Detroit Lions. But you can move that if you just select on the little drop down button. You can move it to make Green Bay a 3-point home underdog or a 2-point home favorite. So there's like a 5-point swing there on that game right now if you're looking to get a point here or there. But as Huss said, you end up, the odds are different as you move it from one number to the other. So yeah, it's all like we said it before. You know, if you want to get into sports betting, you know, a website like CoolBet, one of the things you best to do is just familiarize yourself with the website. Like for a while, don't even worry about the bets. Like don't even just familiarize yourself with the website and all the different options that you have there. So
hey,
yeah.
One other question while we've got it. And this is actually good. It seems like a lot of people do have some questions.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Richard Croft, thanks for explaining things. If you have time today, please tell me how the round robin works. Is this like a sports select combo play? That's exactly right. And I believe the combo is where so I just put it in, like I'm on CoolBet right now, and I just threw some random bets in. Tampa Bay to beat the Red Sox at -125, the Reds +115 to beat the Guardians, and the Nationals +215 to beat the Orioles.
Okay.
And you'll see on the bet slip, you've got single, you've got parlay, and round robin. So if it was single, all those bets are just single. You're putting in a particular amount for each bet. They're on their own. Parlay, as we know, is combined. So you have to win all 3 bets, and that will come out. And in this case, it's +1119. So we just talked about that bets. That means you'll win just over 11 times your money. The round robin, when you click the round robin, there's 4 options. 3 times single. So for instance, if I put in $10 on the 3 times single, that's essentially means I'm putting a single wager of $10 for each of those 3 games. And you'll see at the bottom, the stake is 30. If I take that out and I put 3 times a double, that essentially is 3 2-game parlays. So it's $10 on Tampa Cincy, $10 on Cincy Washington, and $10 on Tampa Washington. The treble is the 3-bet. So that's essentially that parlay.
That's the parlay. You're going to hit them, yeah.
And if you want to just go in on the patent, which is the bottom option, and I put $10 in there, basically what that does, it gives you 3 single bets.
Oh, it's the whole board.
3 double bets and one treble, which is $70. So that's there. And I see Pat just mentioned in Safer with CoolBet is a quick video series that runs through everything from signing up and first-time deposit, explanation of odds, parlays, and even our responsible gaming tools. So
where is that, Patty? Is that on the site? Whereabouts is that? I feel like it's probably got to be kicking around on there somewhere. Pat will follow up. Here we are. I'm looking down at the bottom. Let's see here. It's got to be somewhere on here. Responsible gaming, introduction, set limits, betting advice. Pat, let us know. Let us know where people can find that. So for a lot of people, because I remember, like, I used to bet just like Sports Select, like in high school, essentially, with a buddy who was a little bit older, could get us tickets. And even then, it was a little. But then when I first dove into online betting, quite a while ago now, it can be pretty intimidating the first time until you become, degens like us, and it's in your sleep. You're like Rain Man with the numbers flying around you. So it's it's different. Once it clicks, when you're looking at a board, it's like you're in the Matrix and it finally hits, and you're just seeing things in numbers, right? So it's just a matter of understanding how that works. So
it's funny you say that about thinking about these games and like thinking about numbers and the point spreads at night when you're sleeping and when you're waking up. That was me for a long time until Sunday. Now I think about Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce. Dude, my feed,
you still can't get over this, eh? Like,
my feed since Sunday has changed significantly. And I'm not sure it was because I was clicking on all this stuff.
Of course it is.
From everywhere. But now I'm getting, like, when it says for you, like not the things that I'm following.
Yeah.
The suggested content for me is like 60% Swiftie content. I did get up early today and listen to the New Heights podcast. By the way, have you seen what's happened to? Remember, I was saying, what's going to happen to Chiefs tickets? My worry.
It's insane. Like,
everything has gone up. Like, if you had any doubts, and I'll be saying, I'm one of these people. Like, I was familiar with Taylor Swift. I mean, I knew who she was. I wouldn't have been able to tell you any of her songs.
Really, you couldn't even have said one song. Like,
well, Shake It Off. I guess
I was just going to use Shake It Off as an example. Yeah.
Yeah. But like I've seen now a lot of these big hits that I have no idea what they are. And it was earlier this summer when I just saw the hysteria for tickets for this tour and how massive it was. And it sort of started dawning upon me the level of superstar that we're talking about here. I mean, it was frankly impossible. Like anyone says that they don't know who Taylor Swift is or something,
they're
either
lying.
doesn't have the internet or is lying.
Yeah.
So like, there was sort of this avalanche of Taylor Swift, biggest pop star in the world, blah, blah, blah. Now with the Swift universe combining with the Chiefs Kingdom, it's there's not a lot else coming in my feed right now. I think there's an election happening here in Manitoba. That's been bumped completely. Everything else in the world pretty much has been back. So Swifties are all firing it up. I mean, I think they had about another 100,000 or 200,000 subscribers to New Heights just on YouTube. Their podcast, this one will be, I mean, I don't even know. I'm predicting right now, #1 podcast in the world. When this episode that's out today with all these new people trying to find more out about Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
It is hilarious, but this is a snowball rolling down the hill. And I have to admit, I am completely caught up in it. And listen, I am a little bit worried too.
Are you less worried now about her trying to use Kelce to get to Mahomes and ruin the Chiefs organization?
Well, the Mahomes infiltration theory is major tinfoil hat, and I'll try and leave that hat off for the most part. But this apparently has been going on for a few weeks now, and he did miss his first game in 10 years, the opening game of the season.
Yeah.
So I don't like that coincidence. But anyway, she came yesterday on Sunday. They beat the crap out of the Bears. It'll be interesting to see what happens on, like, honestly, this game against the Jets, now that Aaron Rodgers is out, the biggest story about the entire game is Taylor Swift going to be there?
Yeah.
I mean, there's not going to be a lot. Maybe this is good for Mahomes. He can just sort of,
It's crazy to me because I just don't know how anything could be bigger than the NFL. But Taylor Swift is just proving that there's another level here for the NFL, and it's hopping on board with a super duper crazy mega celebrity like her, which is just absolutely nuts. I tweeted, or not tweeted, in the Edmonton Sports Talk link, I threw up the link to the Cool Bet channel, which is where you can go find that Cool Bet video that we were talking about. So if you do want to get in on that, feel free to check that out a little bit later on. Big Uke pointed this out, so I went and looked at it. If you put 8 games into the round robin, to play them all is the Goliath. It's called the Goliath. I have a hard time believing at some point during the NHL season on a Tuesday or Thursday, we're not rolling out a Goliath on the lock shop, buddy.
NHL? How about Friday? We each make 4 picks.
The Friday Goliath.
The Friday Goliath. Even if we put 1 or 2
because you can combine all the sports in there, right? So, yeah. Yeah, I don't mind that.
I know we'll get to this. And we'll spend a lot more time over the next couple of days. But this is a very different week than last week in the NFL. I mean, we won't go through the games, but here are the point spreads right now: 1.5, 3, 3, 3.5, 3.5, 2.5, 3, 1, 3.5, 2. And then you've got an 8, a 5.5, and a 6.5, and a 14. Those are all the late games. The early slate is the closest odds and tightest spreads I can remember on a game of a slate of NFL games in forever. So going to be some tough picks, but some fun picks coming up tonight. And the other thing we're going to be talking about over the next couple of days, Dusty, is my favorite event of the year, the Ryder Cup.
Yes.
Patty's come on tomorrow. Hopefully by then we will have the official pairings for the first round.
Yeah.
I know Pat's been all over this. I listened to a couple pods last night. It's tough, though, to really dive too much into it, as far as on some of the individual props and bets without knowing, who's going to play with who. Although we did get a bit of an idea from what the practice pairings have been over the last couple days. So it's going to be, and we can get to all of that. Do you want to talk Blue Jays, though, to
Well, we can definitely talk Blue Jays. I did want to throw this out there because you mentioned that the New Heights podcast with the Kelce brothers. So when I was in Victoria golfing in April, we went to a place called the Royal Colwood or something like that. And
Is this before or after the station shut down?
this is before. This is April when I thought I still had a career. So we were golfing. It was the three of us. The one guy wasn't going to play. He had banged up ankle or something. So three of us went to golf. We got put with a fourth. And it was like, oh, so what do you do? Like, what's your thing? And he goes, well, I'm a little bit of an entrepreneur. I run. He owns like this Wave Media company that owns like the digital video rights for like any newspaper site. If they want to play video, this guy owns like those rights. I was just like, oh. I said, okay. So like he's basically a businessman who's extremely wealthy and all this stuff. And I said, oh yeah. I said, I dabble in podcasting a little bit. Like it's going okay. And then he goes, yeah. He goes, my company, we just started a podcast. It's called New Heights with the Kelsey brothers. So that's like when you see like who New Heights is owned by, it's this dude's company. And we golfed with him that day. And I had no idea at the time. I was like, holy shit. Like this guy's a pretty big deal. And yeah, sure enough.
Well, and so is that podcast. I mean, I was seeing, and this is kind of pre Taylor Swift kind of entering the chat, but coming out of the Super Bowl, with the notoriety of both of the brothers playing against each other, and obviously their mom being front and center and all that, it grew exponentially. But their advertising rates, like they work with some big brands, and their advertising rates, they're able to charge 4 times what I think it's measured like CPM or something like that, like per 1,000 impressions or 1,000 downloads. They're getting 4 times industry standard on it because people are so desperate to be in on that show right now. So, hey, create some good content. There'll be people lining up to get involved with it.
What are your thoughts on trying to steal Taylor Swift away from Travis Kelce somehow?
You know what? I'm not sure I have that club in my bag. No, listen, I don't want to be a part of upsetting anything to do with the Chiefs. We had a tough first game against your Lions, but things are turning around. I did think that this start of the schedule was going to be a heck of a lot more difficult. Like I didn't think the Bears would be this bad. I expected Aaron Rodgers to be there
that's true.
On Sunday. I expect the Vikings are still frisky. I'll say this about the Vikings. They may be 0-3, but they are a frisky team. And like, you're not going in and beating Minnesota like you did Chicago. But as I say, I am hoping right now, I'm all in on living happily ever after for Miss Swift and our all-pro 2-ring, hopefully soon to be 3 tight end. So I'm not going to mix it up in those streets right now. I'm just sending them best wishes and hoping that my football team keeps winning and she still keeps being the biggest star in the world. I'm totally cool with that. I have officially online shaken hands with the Swifties. We are all together. Get on in here for the Chiefs Kingdom. Do you see the TV numbers, by the way, from that game?
Yeah, it was 24.3 mil or something like that.
And on top of that, women between 18 and 49 were up 63% for that game. I don't know how they
Taylor Swift moves the needle, man. It's just incredible. She's such a star. It's absolutely insane. We'll get to the Blue Jays here. I got one bet in that game I really like tonight. Did you guys hit CFL yesterday? Did you guys take an early look at those lines at all with Patty?
We did, but to be honest, I was not like, I didn't even know at the time that Chad Kelly officially, I think they maybe announced that he wasn't starting in the middle of the show. Right
around that time. Yeah.
And I think it was the Dan A. The Dan A was actually asking about it, and Dan's back in the chat. What's up, Dan? It was 3 a.m. When we started, it was 4. When I looked in the middle, when Dan had his comment, it was 4.5. And by the time Pat and I talked about it later on, it was 5.5.
It's 7 right now.
All of that's coming in. And I mean, listen, I get it, but what a buzzkill, man.
I know.
What a buzzkill. How long have I been talking about that game?
Buddy, we've been talking about this game for almost 2 months.
Yeah. It's really too bad that it wasn't a month earlier. So that, I mean, and it's already sold out here in Winnipeg too, which is, now listen.
Well, I'm sure Bombers fans will be happy to go watch them beat the Argos no matter who's at quarterback. I
mean, listen, I'm that will be the case, and maybe it'll be even a little bit more social than normal on a Friday night around the Rum Hut. But I would say, and I hope And, it was funny. I heard DT talking to Coach O'Shea, was it last night or the night before, about the schedule on the coaches show here in Winnipeg. And Osh, was saying, hey, it's really tough to build a schedule and all that, which I get. I have long been a proponent of one division and every team plays each other twice, home and home with the entire league. To me, it just makes too much sense. And and it's perfect if you get to a 10th team. Then essentially you have got 9 opponents, 1-1
games
with every team in the league.
Yeah.
It's perfectly fair. We go from there. And then maybe you also get, you don't always necessarily get the East matchup in the Grey Cup, but I think you get the best game. I don't understand why there's only one game between the Bombers and the Argos. I think you should at least have 2 games between all those teams. And then, add an extra game for 2 of your divisional opponents. But if it was going to be like this, how is this game not that should have been the Thursday night opener to the damn season, to be perfectly honest.
You'd like to crank something out like that early in the year, I think. Yeah.
But if it wasn't a little bit later on, and listen, I know there's a lot of things that we don't know, building availability, travel, bye weeks. But the Argos had 3 bye weeks in the first 9 games of the season. They have the worst schedule, I'm sure. And this probably is even more reason why they're resting a guy like Chad Kelly in this situation. It's just brutal for the league, total buzzkill for fans of the Bombers and Argos and everyone, because this was such a hyped up game. And now all of a sudden Chad Kelly and some of their starters aren't going to be playing. But good for the Argos for have played well enough to have earned this opportunity. It just sucks that that's the way that it's come out. There's no one to blame on it, but it's just really unfortunate.
We will give you our official CFL picks tomorrow on the Lock Shop, and we'll dive in. There's one big number in that Riders Lions game, which is the one I'll be calling on Friday night at BC Place. A couple of close games on the Saturday as well. Huss Blue Jays, where are you at here tonight on this one? They obviously a tough one last night, couldn't really generate anything. Garrett Cole goes today. I think my favorite play here is probably Yankees. First 5 plus 133 minus 0.5 essentially at the plus 133.
Yeah, well, I wanted to do a nice little same game parlay.
Yeah.
But we usually like to do it with the team that we're sort of pulling for and hoping
I
to win.
I know.
I don't know how much love people are going to get. Oh yeah, let's take Cole over strikeouts, Yankees money line. All of these things. Where is just looking at these pitching numbers right now.
Now, how's Barrios been lately?
Put it this way. I like the Cole strikeouts over 6.5. That is something that I will be getting on tonight. The Jays last night, although I don't know, did you see much of the game?
I didn't see much of the game last night. It was a busy one.
Let's just say the strike zone was inconsistent, to say the least.
I did see some YouTube or some Twitter clips about that. Yes.
Well, the funny thing was that it was so inconsistent that there was a couple times the teams were so used to having these bad calls that there was a couple calls that looked kind of bad at the start and the umpire's getting a bunch of brain damage. Then you kind of look and go, well, actually that was a strike. So, but it wasn't that consistent last night, which was a little bit of it was a little unfortunate. I'll be honest, I'm stunned that the Jays are a minus 118 favorite with this matchup. I guess Barrios has been good, but Garrett Cole is the ace. He is the guy. Let me just pull up what
we went Yankees on the Nielsen show today for the Cool Bet Hotline of the day. We kind of had to hold our noses though. You didn't want to do that, but I don't know. It just seems like with the way things went last night for the Jays, and then they're rolling Cole out there. It's plus 104 right now for the Yankees to win money line.
I'm just looking at this game log for Garrett Cole. So in his outing last week against the Blue Jays, he went 8 innings, gave up 2 hits, and struck out 9. He was absolutely on it. Now, they are in Toronto. Maybe a little bit more difficult to do that on the road. But he's trying to win the Cy Young right now. And that's the only thing that this team has going for them right now. They've been eliminated. So I'm gonna take. I will throw down on the over 6.5 strikeouts. That I think is gonna be my favorite pick from this. It's pretty hard to jump on many of the Jays bats considering what we saw last night.
Yeah.
Where no one could hit, and what Garrett Cole did to this exact same team 6 days ago. So I'm at a little bit of a I'm at a little bit of a crossroads.
Little battle between the heart and the brain here. Like,
exactly. I mean, it's that. Patty, let us know in chat if you've got any thoughts.
Yeah. Patty, if you're watching still, or text us or whatever, because
huge same gamer with Cole K's and then some hits from both teams. Usually okay numbers. Maybe we do that. Maybe we put in the 6 strikeouts.
Yeah.
And then we pick, a player. Like I'm just looking at the total bases here. This goes to show you how good Garrett Cole is. Like Bo Bichette over 1.5 total bases is usually around even money or maybe plus 110.
Plus 140.
It's plus 140 right now. I mean, I'd almost like to take, just guys to get a hit. This is the inning. I see we've got the first 5 money line.
That's the one I like. First 5 money line. The Yankees 106 minus 106. Just based on the Cole start, right? Like you're just thinking.
Well, exactly, and then that still leaves the door open
for the Jays to come back. Yeah,
for potentially Jays to come back. Love to know who the Jays have been, who the best player. And you got first team to score too. Yankees or Blue Jays. That's very similar to what we've done before. Is there a Blue Jay that we're most? Do we want to put Bo in there?
I mean, at plus 140, I mean, if anybody's going to get it done, I probably have faith in him being that guy. You want to throw Bo Bichette total bases over 1.5 at plus 140? And then with
the guy
with Cole over 6 and the Yankees money line first 5.
Yeah.
I think that's probably as far as we're going to get here.
And then we at least leave the door open for the Blue Jays to win to get to the bullpen.
Yeah.
We need Bo, and then but as I say, if you're looking for just a single bet, which again Blue Jays can win as well, minus 115 on Cole over 6.5 strikeouts for this evening. So I know Patty's looking.
Yeah,
we'll
Patty, let us know if you can hammer that in here before we wrap. So it's Cole over, what did we say, over 6 to get it?
Over 6.5.
Over 6.5. So 7 plus. Okay. Yankees money line first 5.
Ooh,
and
here's the
Bichette
thing. I'm just thinking about this. That first 5 might be tough to put in a partner parlay. Because what if it's tied?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so yeah, that probably won't work then. Okay, well then let's see. You want to go Yankees first to score?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Let's flip in Yankees first to score. It's like minus 141 or something.
Better. So just Cole, Bo, Yankees first to score.
There we go.
That I think is so there you go, Patty. We'll throw that in there and trying to get creative, still supporting the Jays, but a little nervous about the guy in the mound on the other side. By the way, for those of you that haven't been following the wild card race very closely, so bizarre right now with Houston and Seattle playing each other in that late slot right now out on the West Coast. But Seattle got a big win last night. So now the wild card looks like this. Tampa is locked in. The Jays are 1.5 games up on Houston and 2 games up on the Mariners. But the thing is that these two teams are playing again. Are they playing again tonight? Yep. And then tomorrow. And then it finishes up with the Rangers and the Mariners. Yeah. And, of course, the Rangers are ahead of Houston right now in first place. I don't see a Houston game. Houston must be going in on Friday. And their final series is against the Diamondbacks.
It's going to come right down to the wire. It's going to be good.
It's absolutely going to come right down to the wire. And this was something that Jake said on the program. And again, you don't want to get too ahead of yourselves because first and foremost, you got to make the playoffs. But he said it wouldn't be the worst thing if the Jays got passed by Houston or Seattle, but still maintained the final wild card to go up against the Twins in the first round, as opposed to having to go and take on the Tampa Bay Rays, who, of course, they're going to be finishing the season against in that final series coming up on the weekend against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, that would be interesting strategy. I always worry about that. You play it too safe and then it backfires on you anyway, or you try to kind of get where you want to be and then it doesn't work out in the end. But so my lock shot play of the day today, it's going to be posted in a little bit over at CoolBet. I am going down the path. I don't want to spoil it, but I'm going down the NHL preseason path tonight. So fingers crossed on that one. But like, do you ever touch NHL preseason? I know we love our NHL futures and everything, and you can go do that right now, but do you ever touch NHL preseason?
I did on Monday, and I made one of the, I spoke about it yesterday on the show, but I made one of the bigger bets of recent history for yours truly on the Jets at home in regulation. And I'm thinking about it again tonight, to be perfectly honest with you, because I just saw the lineup that Calgary's sending to Winnipeg for this game. Hellebuck is starting. He's going to play as long as he wants tonight. We're not going to see the Scheifele line, but we are going to see Perfetti and Ryder out there. The forward groups might not be, quite there. And that's part of the reason why it's just 173. I'm looking at, there is a spread. The lineup the Oilers sent on Monday was so bad. I think they had to just take the risk away and not post a spread. Yeah. You could bet the home tie away in regulation. If you want the Jets -1.5, you can get that at +146 tonight, and -110 on the regulation win. I think is something that I might go with this Calgary Winnipeg game, just because I think Mangiapane is pretty much the best player that they've got. Wolf's going to be in net. I mean, most of the regulars are not there. They have a handful, like whatever the league mandates. Are the Oilers in action today?
Yeah, they are. That's the one that you're going to see a little bit later on. They get the Canucks tonight, and the big boys are playing tonight. So McDavid's in, Draisaitl's in. There's a huge worry right now about the lack of offensive production from the Oilers in the preseason. So I think that gets taken care of tonight. So we'll see how that one plays out. Hey, Patty's
perfect team to do it against Vancouver, who lost 10-0 on the weekend to Calgary.
That's a really good point. So watch for that later on in the CoolBet socials. Patty's in there saying, guys, what about Cole K's, the under 7.5, and then a Jays? Oh, no, he's got it in. He said the lock shop partner parlay has been requested. Okay, so we got it in there at what we had. So watch for that. Should be up here relatively quickly. Huss, anything else from a lock shop perspective, or you want to dive into Winnipeg Sports Talk today?
Uchi with a nice one. Under 7.5, Cole 7+, and Bo 1 hit.
Plus 33, yeah.
Plus 33 in the bet builder. So yeah, we will see.
If you had to pick a side in that game tonight, you'd go under the 7.5 though, eh?
I think so.
I mean,
so with
too.
this pitching matchup, and I mean, neither of the team looked like they could hit last night for the most part. I mean, obviously there was that 2-run bomb. By the way, and I'll put this to Pat and Jake if they're listening too, and anyone else that's a Jays fan. Any level of concern about where Romano's at heading into the playoffs? Because that's one guy they cannot afford to have off his game.
Yeah.
And he's been rocked twice in the last 4 days after going 26 straight.
That would be a bit of a concern right now. I think that's something that you're probably going to have to get sorted out here. Not that I have a lot of faith in them in the playoffs anyway, but you're going to have nothing if you don't have that guy going. Let's get to one quick text here, 780-218-9999. Make sure you stick around. Oil Stream coming up, Fantasy Football 5 here in just a couple of minutes too. Sean says, I don't see the connection or the conspiracy about Swift and Mahomes. The intrigue for me, though, is the possible angle with Taylor Swift and Mahomes' wife. Indeed, her getting jealous with the amount of attention that Kelsey and Swift are getting. By the way, is this EST or TMZ I'm listening to? What the hell is going on? But he's got a hot take in there too. That's an interesting way to look at it because Mahomes' wife and the brother, they like being the social media stars. She's going to be insanely jealous of Kelsey and Swift.
Listen, Pat, I think, told them both just to, enjoy what they have, and stay out of the limelight. Thank you very much, because every time they're in, it's not so good. I mean, whatever. Britney's Britney. If you saw the quarterback show, little annoying, but whatever. They've been together forever. Yes, the conspiracy. This is completely concocted by me. And again, my whole reason for living is protect Patrick Mahomes at all costs. I'm basically an offensive lineman. So as great as this all looks, I'm thinking like, okay, how could this blow up on my face? It's just like making a bet. You're like, all right, this one's pretty much in. How can this lose? How can we lose? You're always got to be thinking about that. So that is what I was thinking. But yeah, here's the thing. I mean, she's not going to be at all these games. Like, I doubt she'll be there on Saturday. Things will kind of get back to normal pretty quickly. But you know, and then again, TMZ, EST, WST, it's true. But what can you do? I mean, that was a nuclear bomb. The intersection of all the stuff we talk about with pop culture, it may have brought more people into our shows too, because people that don't normally do it are wondering what the sports guys are talking about about this on the other side. Much like, I will admit, I went into the Taylor Swift streets on the internet yesterday just to kind of get a taste of what the other side was feeling. But you know, it's kind of like, you know, when you're dating someone new, you meet the families, they're the families, and then there's the extended families, and both of these individuals have armies of millions. So anyway, it's fun to keep going. Before we go, okay, we do have to run. Quick update on Ryder Cup odds, and we'll make these bets tomorrow. Okay. It is crazy how the odds have shifted. Europe during the off season, or during the season when we were looking at it, was sometimes as high as plus 200 to win the Ryder Cup. They're now minus 105, and the US is plus 120. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm stunned at how much this has changed. Yesterday it was even money on either side, and a tie was plus 1,200 or 12 to 1. Now Europe is minus 105 to win, USA plus 120, and the tie is 11 to 1. And to lift the trophy, which basically the thing with the lift the trophy is that who gets it, that essentially is USA plus a tie, because USA has the Ryder Cup. If they end up tied at 14 points each, the team that has the trophy retains it. So I'm going to talk with my guy Feinberg about this. He's been all over the Ryder Cup for the last year, basically heading into this weekend. So he's going to jump on Edmonton Sports Talk today. I know Pat's been all over it. He's going to join us tomorrow. We hopefully will have pairings by that time, or right around there, so we can get into some of our favorite props, as well as bets for the entire tournament. But there's a lot of neat ones, like top combined point score. You can bet who's going to make the winning putt, first in, first out. Like betting, if you want, before we find out who the pairings are, you can bet on that right now. Like, who do the Europeans send out first? Rory McIlroy's at plus 120 for that. I wouldn't be surprised to see our guy Vic Hovland go out in the first group at plus 4 to 1. But if you are a golf fan of the Ryder Cup, get over to CoolBet right now. Tons of things you can get on in advance of the tourney. And then Pat's going to join us tomorrow. We'll do some CFL picks. We will get Ryder Cup picks as well. And by the time we're doing the Friday edition of the Lock Shop, we may very well have Saturday pairings as well, based on the time difference between here and Italy.
Excellent stuff, buddy. You have a good show today, and we'll be back in the Lock Shop tomorrow, man.
Yeah, shout out to the chat. Great to see all the questions today. Well, big couple days coming up, Thursday and Friday in the Lock Shop.
Exciting time. See you later, buddy. All right, welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Football 5. Dusty with you, and we are diving into some, hey, check out to see if these guys are available names today. That's what we're going to get into, because there's some guys I'm seeing around like 75, 80% owned that I think are becoming guys that I wouldn't classify as must-starts, but must-have on your bench somewhere, and that's something that we can look at as well. As always, the Fantasy Football 5 is brought to you by our great partners at Century Casino. Join Lieutenant Eric every Monday and Friday, Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge on Fort Road, and make special plans to join us on October 5th. We'll have the whole crew there. You have a chance to meet YouTube Trev, and Maddie's going to be there, and HR Daddy might roll in. So we're gonna have a lot going on there. That's October 5th. You can join us. It should be a pretty good time. Lieutenant Eric's in the house. What are you doing over there, buddy? Oh, okay. All right, perfect. All right, well, that rattled me for a second, but it's a Fantasy Football 5. If you have any questions, hit me up, 780-218-9999. You want to try to get these in right around 11:45 so they can pop in and I can get to them before we wrap, because it's just like a 5 to 10 minute brief show every day between the Lock Shop and the beginning of the oil stream today. By the way, I do believe we might have some Oilers tickets for the game tonight that we're going to give away as well. Let's see. Vetchkin the Great says, Brandon Cooks or Kenneth Gainwell in my flex this weekend. What's the deal with Cooks? I mean, I'm kind of feeling Cooks there. I thought Gainwell would have a little bit more of a role than he had. I mean, I love the fact that they kept rolling with Swift. I think that was great. So I probably lean towards Cooks depending on his health status. Corey at work, should I even entertain the idea of starting Breece Hall or Garrett Wilson anymore? I mean, the entire Jets offense are basically like Wilson. Oh, what a waste. I'm getting angry now. Breece Hall, I mean, I don't care about too much. But Garrett Wilson is a real kick right in the nuts. Now, I do laugh. Like, my one buddy, and I guess he had the last laugh now, but my one buddy in the Wandering Cone Football League, he didn't keep Garrett Wilson. And he kept somebody not very good ahead of him. We're like, you're a fool. And Garrett Wilson ended up going second overall in our draft. And now my buddy Viss has got to be kind of having the last laugh on this one. What a lucky duck that he ended up being. But here's some guys who are like less than 80% owned in a lot of leagues that you might want to, I don't know if you want to start him or stash him, but I think you could probably stash a few of these guys. Rashawn Johnson in Chicago is a guy that you probably want to look at this point. I mean, he's continuing to get more and more of a workload. Chicago's a mess right now. Do they eventually just say, okay, enough Khalil Herbert? Maybe Khalil Herbert is just who everybody thought Khalil Herbert was going to be when he's backing up David Montgomery, and they kind of turn things over there. So look at him. He's about 78% owned in some of the leagues that I was looking at. I can't believe we're saying this one, but Cortland Sutton. I cut Cortland Sutton in the 16-team league. Not that I had anybody better or worse that I would have kept ahead of him, but he's averaging just shy of 12 PPR points per game so far this year on a team that has kind of been a train wreck. So Cortland Sutton's always like steady enough that if you're in like a 3 wide receiver league or a couple flex spots, you can probably throw him in, but he looks like he's still available in about 20% of leagues. He should at least be on your bench in a few of these leagues. And then the other, this could be a classic homer pick. But Laporta is the real deal at tight end for the Detroit Lions. He's had at least 5 catches, I think, in all 3 games so far. And Jared Goff has relied heavily. Like, I'm pretty sure Jared Goff, well, I know Jared Goff was the quarterback when Tyler Higbee had like a league-winning season. Remember Higbee in that second half of the 1 year? Jared Goff was a quarterback there. We saw what he did with TJ Hawkinson. He's going to do the same with Laporta. So Jared Goff is good news for tight ends, and Laporta is still available in like 20% of leagues as well. So let's change that. Laporta is not even a guy you should have on your bench. Laporta should be a top 8 tight end, in my opinion, right now, which means you are starting him. So if you're in a league where Laporta is still kicking around, first of all, congratulations on having friends who are idiots. But yeah, I would go out and get your hands on Laporta. With the Mike Williams stuff, I know Palmer kind of got the bump this game, but I've had Quentin Johnson stashed on a few benches. Kind of fits that profile a little bit better than Palmer, so we'll see how that trends in that direction. But Johnson would be a stash candidate, I would think, right now. But anytime you have any questions, hit me up on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it. Slide into my DMs at Nielsen TSN 1260, and we can get to some of those fantasy questions. If you are watching right now, be ready. We are going to transition you over, have that autoplay on. We'll take you into the oil stream, the Fantasy Football 5, brought to you by Century Casino, Fort Road, the Sports Bar and Lounge. Eric will be there for that Thursday nighter between the Lions and Packers, and then we will all be there on October 5th for like a little Edmonton Sports Talk Thursday Night Football extravaganza, which should be a lot of fun. So make some plans to join us on Thursday, October 5th. More fantasy football stuff coming your way tomorrow. Oil stream coming up here on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
The EST Hangout.
Manawanuk, Tom Gazzolo, as well as we got Mindarwal from CBC and Doug McLean, Golden Bears Pan